So just tell the public what the Register of Deeds does. We got a lot of people move from all over the country. Some states have Register of Wills. Some states have Register of Deeds. Some states just have clerks that are sort of responsible for it. So what in North Carolina does the Register of Deeds do?
The North Carolina Register of Deeds office, they host the land deeds, land records that their deeds when they go buy a house, their deed of trust that they borrow from the bank, any type of public document you want to put on public record, such as power attorneys.
Separation agreements?
Yeah,
I record separation agreements at your office.
Yep, separation, power attorney, anything that you want to be on public record. Everything is public record except our military discharges, and they're in a safekeeping place away from the public.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Johnston County, brought to you by Breeden Law Office. Our host, Jonathan Breeden, an experienced family lawyer with a deep connection to the community, is ready to take you on a journey through the area that he has called home for over 20 years. Whether it's a deep dive into the love locals have for the county or unraveling the complexities of family law, Best of Johnston County presents an authentic slice of this unique community.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Johnston County Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden. And on today's episode, we have Johnston County Register of Deeds, Craig Olive. He's going to talk to us a little bit about what his office does, how you can get your passport through his office, his Thank a Veteran program, and some of the stuff he does to help people avoid being victims of identity theft. I think you're going to find this fascinating and interesting. Craig Olive is probably one of the most cutting-edge Register of Deeds in the entire country, and he's right here in Johnston County, and I don't think people realize it, which is why I wanted him to come on this podcast. But before we get to that, I want to remind everybody to like, follow, or subscribe this podcast wherever you see this podcast, whether it be on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple iTunes, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, or any of the other social media pages of the Best of Johnston County Podcast. The Best of Johnston County Podcast comes out every Monday, so be checking back every Monday for new episodes, and go back and listen to some of the previous episodes when we've had interesting guests like County Commissioner Patrick Harris, Miss Teen America, Hanley House, local dentist Dr. Tim Sims, Johnston County Economic Development Director Chris Johnson, now Johnston County Commissioner Bill Stovall. These are all interesting people that have a lot of great things to say about Johnston County, and I think you will find them educational. Thanks for coming on, Craig.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's a pleasure to be here.
I appreciate you doing this. So let's start with biographical. Who you are, where you're from.
Well, I'm Craig Olive. I was born and raised here in Johnston County on a family farm. I'm 59 years young. I came from a big family. We had 14 siblings, 15 counting me. They're all half except one whole sister. My daddy was a farmer. He also worked in the insurance business. And at the age of 45, my mother went back and got her nursing degree. And she was a nurse at Wake Med for about 15 years before she retired. And I went to Smithfield Selma High School, graduate. At that time, I was moving up into the management there at Hardee's in Smithfield. I worked there for about 9 years, and I kind of was tired of the working midnight shift when somebody didn't come in. Back then, we were 24 hours. So I saw an opening driver's license examiner. And I also worked in politics probably since I was 13 years old. When Ronald Reagan was running, he captivated a young boy's mind, and I got involved in politics. And later on, I became the chairman of the YRs, and my daddy died when I was 16. And while I was the YR chairman, my mother found a newspaper clipping. My daddy didn't ever tell me that he was involved in politics. He just told me, don't put no bumper stickers on this vehicle because somebody might egg him. And so he was YR chairman here in Johnston County back in the early 60s.
Oh, my goodness. How about that? So YR stands for Young Republicans, and that is one of the many different Republican groups there are. There's the Republican men, there's Republican women, there's the general county Republican parties, and then there are the congressional districts, and then there's the state Republican Party. And not all counties have young Republican branches, but I think it's fascinating that Johnston County had one back in the 60s, because in the 60s, there weren't a whole lot of Republicans in Johnston County.
Right. As they used to call it, we met in a phone booth.
That's
That's
probably
how
about
many.
right.
Yeah.
So when did you become a driver's license examiner? That's what you were doing when I met you.
In 1989, I became a driver's license examiner for the state of North Carolina. I started out in Durham until I got transferred to a position that was open in Smithfield. I stayed there until the first driver's license office was open in Clayton, and I was the senior examiner there. And I stayed there until I decided I wanted to run for office, because I love history, I love Johnston County, and we're like a museum in our office. We're preserving history one page at a time.
That you do, and you have records going all the way back to the 1700s.
Yes, sir.
In that office.
Yes.
And I do find that fascinating when you go in there, because it is kind of a history museum of the county. So Register of Deeds, because you're a historian?
Well, that's the first thing. And then I saw there was a need for modern technology to be in that office. Everybody that uses that office has to go down, walk down there, or travel down to the courthouse and look up the records. Nothing was online, and we needed to put our records online to help the lawyers like yourself to look up pages, to find out things instead of traveling all the way down to the office. And also, people that uses our office is they charge the public by the hour most of the time, so that helps out the public as well.
Okay. So anyway, so you are elected in 2002.
Yes, sir.
And you were the first Republican Register of Deeds that I was aware of, at least that I know of. And so you've been in that position now for 22 years.
Yes, sir.
And so just tell the public what the Register of Deeds does. We got a lot of people move from all over the country. Some states have Register of Wills. Some states have Register of Deeds. Some states just have clerks that are sort of responsible for it. So what in North Carolina does the Register of Deeds do?
The North Carolina Register of Deeds office, they host the land deeds, land records that their deed when they go buy a house, their deed of trust that they borrow from the bank, any type of public document you want to put on public record, such as power attorneys.
Separation agreements?
Yeah.
I record separation agreements at your office?
Yep. Separation, power attorney, anything that you want to be public on public record. Everything is public record except our military discharges, and they're in a safekeeping place away from the public.
Okay. And
we also host the birth certificates, that the birth that's occurred here in Johnston County, also death, any type of death that occurs here. And we also record marriage license when they come and get their marriage license. And they can get married anywhere in the state, and as long as it is on North Carolina soil. So
I did not know that. Yeah. I thought you had to get married in Johnston County if you got a Johnston County marriage license.
No, not now. I don't know when the law changed, but when my parents got married in 1959, they had to come back to Johnston County. And back then, only the groom or the husband-to-be could come and get their marriage license.
Huh. Yes. How about that?
Yes. So back then, they got a Wake County pastor to marry them, so they had to come back across the Johnston County line and went to the first Primitive Baptist church that they saw, and got married by the car lots.
Oh, how about that?
Yes.
How about that?
Also, anybody, if they are ordained minister, and as you know, people can go online and get their ordination. I don't know if it's legit or not, but that's up to the courts. But we have over about 1,200 marriages per year in Johnston County. About 1,300 births takes place here. And death, right close to about 1,000 a year.
Okay. I didn't know that. I knew you were responsible for all those records, but I didn't know those numbers. And people get married at the courthouse all the time.
They do.
I go to the courthouse and see people getting married. And do you perform those ceremonies?
Well, unfortunately, we cannot.
Okay.
By statute, we cannot. The magistrate over at the clerk's office, court system, that they perform them, or they can go off site and let a pastor to do it in
Oh,
a
cool.
church or anywhere else, as long as it's on North Carolina soil.
Okay. How about that? How about that? So what are your office's hours?
We are open from 8 until 5, Monday through Friday, but we are a 24-hour office because you can search online 24 hours a day for your records.
Right. And you've really been cutting edge on the digitizing of records and stuff. I mean, really for the entire country. I mean, it's unbelievable. What, I know you said you're a historian, but how have you gone about doing that and becoming such a trailblazer at it?
Well, we have several millions of records in our office. So we started back to the 1700s and we scan in our documents. Sometimes we would do it in-house. Sometimes we have to have a company out to outsource it. But we became a digitized office probably about in 2005, 2006. So right after I took office, I saw there was a need. There was a backlog of satisfactions. Back then, you had to pull the book and stamp it, and it took a long time to cancel a deed of trust when we get the satisfaction from the bank.
Okay. I got you. And at the time, you may have been the first county in North Carolina to do that, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, now it's kind of everybody's got it, but at that time, I mean, nobody had it.
We are one of the first that have went and have everything online for the public and the lawyers to look at.
Right. And now the lawyers can file online.
That's right. They can electronically file. We were the first in the nation for a plat map to be recorded electronically. I was very proud of that. We worked with a local surveyor, and we were the first in the nation. So I'm very proud of that.
Right. Now, I can't request a marriage license online, can I?
You can apply for a marriage license online, fill out all the information, and when you walk into our office, we will pull it up and let you sign it and let you go your merry way.
But I have to go get it. I have to physically appear, right?
Both the bride and the groom.
Right.
Will have to.
Right. And can I request a death certificate online with your office?
You can.
Okay.
You can order death certificates, marriage license, and birth certificates online.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
And we can send it to you right in the mail.
Okay, that's awesome. And your office is unique in that it's created by statute, but it's largely self-funded. I guess technically the county commissioners are sort of over it, sort of as far as the budget, but
right.
But you usually bring in more money than you spend, I think.
We sure do. We take in about $8 million a year when the economy is good. Recently, about $6 million a year. We even develop programs where we can make more money to help save the taxpayers their tax rate.
Right. And you actually have given money back to the commissioners.
Yes, I'm proud to say since my tenure has started, since 2002, we have returned back over $4 million of unused funds. So maybe that will help keep the tax rate down.
Well, I tell you what, it's better than the commissioners having to pump money into it to keep it up, because we have to have a Registrar of Deeds office by law.
Well, that's true. We have to.
Right.
Have family law questions? Need guidance to navigate legal challenges? The compassionate team at Breeden Law Office is here to help. Visit us at www.breedenfirm.com for practical advice, resources, or to book a consultation. Remember, when life gets messy, you don't have to face it alone.
Well, let's talk about some of the things that you do that are not absolutely required by law. One of the things that your office is good for is helping people get passports. Explain to me how they would go about getting a passport for your office. I know I just got one for my children through your office. Just talk about what that process is.
Well, we enjoy having y'all in our office. Well, I saw there was a need to have a passport facility, and I inquired about it, and I think I was like the second one in the state to get it. Brunswick County was the first one, and I went down there and talked with the registrar down there, Brenda Clemens, and so I brought back some ideas, and we started doing passports, and we have really made a lot of money for the county. We take pictures there right on the spot, only charge them $10. Some places might charge $17 or $20. So that's a cost saving to the taxpayers. And we make about $35 off of each passport.
Well, and the biggest thing is not just that it's a revenue generator for your offices, it's just a convenience.
Yes.
It is so convenient and so easy. If you have your paperwork now, you gotta have your birth certificates, you gotta have both parents there if you want the kids. You know, there are some rules, but if you can follow the instructions, it is the easiest thing in the world. You're in and out in less than 15, 20 minutes. And, you know, that's just a great service. Like everything you seem to do is to provide service. You're one of the first people to digitize. Now you're making it where people can come get passports. You didn't have to do that, but you're doing that as a service to the community.
Well, I just want to, I'm not just a sit behind the desk type of person. I want to create or see ways I can help the public to better their life and to find other sources of revenue to bring into our office, like I said, to help keep our tax rate down.
Right. Well, one of the things that you've done that you didn't have to do was you created a vet program.
I did.
So tell the people about that.
Well, the veterans is very important to me. I had a brother that was in Vietnam and some more family members that was in service, but they fought for a country, and we need to do anything possible to help their life easier after service. And so I saw there was a need to develop a program for the veterans because some area merchants offer discounts, but you have to show proof. And if you serve 4 or 8 years in service, the only proof you have that you served in the military is your DD-214. And I am an advocate of trying to help protect people's identity. So usually the DD-214, they keep it in their wallet or their pocket, and as you know that it can be stolen, or the DD-214 is a very important document. It can be stored and torn or whatever. So people can come and record their DD-214s in our office, and we will make a little card with a picture on it to show area merchants. And we have over 100 area merchants and businesses that provide discounts to our veterans.
Well, that's awesome. And for those people who don't know, a DD-214 is your discharge summary that has a lot of personal information on it, including your name, the first date of service, your last date of service, whether you were honorably discharged or generally discharged or dishonorably discharged, and may have something, depending on when it is, it sometimes can talk about any injuries you may have suffered.
Right.
Those are things that, you might not want the public to know.
And your Social Security number is on it.
And your Social Security number on it as well. And so that's big. So how many people have come and recorded their DD-14? I know you just started spending about a year ago, but I mean, it's fascinating.
We have over 1,000 that have come in.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we're very proud of that program that we started.
Well, that's awesome. Over 1,000 veterans. That is great. And then their families will know how to access those as well if they've lost it. Being a family lawyer, we do a lot of cases with the military, and sometimes it's one of the things we're asking for, and some service members don't know where it is. And it's like, well, we got to get it because we're going to need it to do your divorce, to help us with the divorce and the property settlement and stuff like that.
Also, when that time comes, when you want a military funeral and you don't have a copy of a DD-214 to show proof that you were in the military, you may delay the funeral or may not be able to have one. So we have a lot of funeral homes to call us and to acknowledge that they were in the military.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I know you've really been big on identity theft. That has sort of been the calling, other than digitizing the office. When you think of Craig Olive, you think of the shred events that you have every year where you pay for a gigantic 18-wheeler shredder to come to a parking lot in Smithfield, and people can come and have anything they want shredded free of charge. You've done that, what, 9, 10 years now?
This was our 15th year.
15th year of doing that. You usually do it in the spring.
Right.
I have participated there many, many times, and that's a tremendous event. It's usually in April
or May, around tax time, where people are cleaning out their files and wanting to throw away that they don't have to keep no longer.
Right.
So,
I normally go and take a bunch of old checkbooks, you know what I mean, that have just the carbon copies,
right.
And I have you shred those. That's one of the things that I like to do every year at your event.
One of the reasons why I started that was there was a law on the books that several years back, when you had your deed done, you have to put your Social Security number on the deed. And as you know, these are public records. And even though they might be online, people can still come in our office and open up the book and see a Social Security number. And that's dangerous. And there was a law on the books that the public had to tell us what book and what page it was in. And a lot of people didn't know that their Social Security number was on their documents that was recorded in our office. So I took a step further. When Congressman David Rouser was our senator here in Raleigh location, he helped introduce a bill that the Registrar of Deeds will have to go on and cover up people's Social Security number or sensitive information. And by technology that we have, technology can go and spot the numbers automatically and cover them up. So that was the extra step that I wanted to have done. And then Governor Beverly Perdue signed it into law. So I'm very proud of bringing that to the forefront and making it a law.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. The other thing you try to do is you got a fraud alert thing. I mean, like, what are you doing for that?
Well, right here, I brought this. It is a fraud alert. My software vendor offers a fraud alert. And if you want to be alerted if somebody records anything in your name in our office, and we cannot examine every document to tell if it's authentic or a fraud. So, but we do record people's names, index people's names. And so if somebody brings in a document with your name on it and you didn't know nothing about, it will alert you through an email. And I encourage everyone to sign up. It's very, very important.
And there's a link on your website.
Link on my website. JCOorg. JCROD.org.
All right. JCROD.org,
yes.
Which stands for Johnston County Registrar of Deeds.org. You can go in there and sign up for free for a fraud alert to see if somebody records your name. One of the things you've seen around the country is this whole squatting thing and people filing people getting quitclaim deeds with people where people are deeding an interest in a property that they don't have.
That's right.
And then that's getting recorded. So people
That's
think
right.
they own a property they don't, and then they won't get out of your house.
Right.
I mean, it's just a big fraud.
As long as, if they bring in a document, as long as they meet our recording standards, we have to take it. Don't matter what is inside of the body of the document.
Okay. So you don't get to say whether you think it's a fraud
That's
or
right. We'll let the court system do that.
Right. You're just recording it. If it's got a 3-inch top and a 1-inch margin,
that's right.
They'll pay the fee. You have to record it.
That's right.
Well, that's right, and that's why literally you can record just about anything you want with the Registrar of Deeds, including your separation agreement or even a memorandum of separation, letting the creditors know that you're separated. We do that here at my office every once in a while for people that are going through separation and divorces, and they want to make sure that the creditors are aware not to give the other party credit in their name because they are now separated, headed for a divorce. So I guess the last question we ask everybody on this podcast is, what do you love most about Johnston County? You've been here your whole life. You've been an elected official for 22 years. What do you love most?
I love serving people. I love helping people. And as long as I'm in that office, I will continue to look at ways to make things easier. I will fight for fee increases, and I have done that against our own association, and I was like the black sheep of the family. But when it comes to fee increases and all that, we don't have to need that. And it does affect all types of people, low income and high income. I'm there to serve the citizens of this county and this state, and I love serving.
All right. Well, and you're not up for re-election this year. I know we're in an election year. Registrar of Deeds are elected in North Carolina in the off-presidential year, so you'll be back up in 2026. I don't know if you might be running again. It sounds like you might be.
Oh, I am. I love serving the citizens. 24 registrars are up in the off-year election.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
The rest is up for this year.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was like the clerk of courts and the DAs where they were all in the off-year election. I didn't know that.
Right.
So, well, thanks for that. I know you're in the off-year.
Well, I'm kind of glad I'm in the off-year.
You're kind of glad you're in the off-year. So come 2026, it sounds like you're going to run again. Well, we'll like to thank Craig Olive, the Johnston County Registrar of Deeds, for being our guest today on the Best of Johnston County podcast. As we mentioned earlier, please like and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're seeing it, so you'll be made aware of future episodes of the Best of Johnston County podcast. And if you'd be so kind to leave us a 5-star review down at the bottom, whether you're seeing this podcast or not, and maybe give us some comments about what you like or don't like about this podcast. We do read them all, and we want to continue to make it better because this podcast is for you. It is to promote what is great about Johnston County and what Craig Olive and I love the most about Johnston County, and we love doing it here, bringing it to you from the Breeden Law Office. Until next time, I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden.
That's the end of today's episode of Best of Johnston County, a show brought to you by the trusted team at Breeden Law Office. We thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to sharing more interesting facets of this community next week. Every story, every viewpoint adds another thread to the rich tapestry of Johnston County. If the legal aspects highlighted raise some questions, help is just around the corner at www.breedenfirm.com.